We had a transgender swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania won 4 different Ivy League championships, Buck. 4 different Ivy League championships. And if you haven't paid attention to this story, we're talking about a man who swam for 3 years on the University of Pennsylvania's team and then decides to become a woman and now is poised with the NCAA championships coming up in a few weeks to potentially become the greatest women's, in quotation mark, swimmer of all time. And we have such identity politics colliding here, Buck. You have Democrats whose predominant base to a large extent is female voters. And so they don't want to offend women who might enjoy competition. I know a ton of you out there, dads and moms, are seething over a story like this. So they're pretending it doesn't exist. Simultaneously, they're not saying, hey, men are bigger, stronger, and faster than women just because you decide to become a woman and start taking whatever drugs are necessary in order for that to occur. It doesn't make you not over 6 feet tall or have bigger hands and feet and be better at swimming than a woman would be, which is what men are.
He's effectively had almost 10 years of nature's testosterone therapy already. Let's be honest about this, right? His biochemistry has been such that he has been receiving, as any male listening to this would be, receiving the benefits of male biochemistry when it comes to size, strength, speed, and those issues. You know, one thing that this brings to bear here, Clay, because it is fascinating, and you've been reminding me of just how the sports media
pretend it doesn't exist.
Should be doing backflips about how amazing, what a moment of huge progress this is, right? You'll notice that when it came to the first, I believe, was it the first transgender cabinet level official that was, or maybe it was state level, I think it was state level official in Pennsylvania, the health official.
It was a huge story. Everybody was praising it, how significant it was.
You know, breaking a glass ceiling of sorts or whatever, however they want to frame it. If this is a good thing, they should view this as an enormously positive story they want to tell all over the place. They know that this is an issue where I think, honestly, 80 to 90% of the country is just saying,
I think it's like 95%. I think it is crazy.
This is not anywhere near a 50-50. This is not a Democrat-Republican issue. This is a sane versus insane issue. And it does, though, remind me of how you have to see it. A lot of this starts with, and even conservatives fall for this, it's about being polite. Let's just be polite. Let's use the preferred pronouns. Let's be included. We don't want anyone to feel bad. And I do think that conservatives have culturally a desire for politeness and for courtesy that is often used against us in these things. Like, I don't want anyone to feel bad. I want people to feel good. I want people to feel safe and, have a good day and all the rest of it. But it's not courteous to make 12-year-old girls get undressed in their locker room with 12-year-old boys. It's not polite.
Yes.
It's not okay. It's not courteous, which is a new policy. It's not courteous to have female swimmers getting annihilated by someone who's a biological male. I mean, what ends up happening is if you don't see this for what it is in the early stages, courtesy cannot be at the expense of truth. Politeness cannot be at the expense of truth. And that's what you see in the transgender issue in sports all the time.
I keep coming back to a quote that an anonymous member of this Penn swimming team gave to one of our writers, Joe Kinsey, at Outkick. And that swimmer said, and I'm paraphrasing her, that she hopes when she is married and has children of her own that she has boys, because women's sports are going to cease to exist in many ways if tons of transgender male athletes decide to become a part of women's sports. And by the way, this doesn't go the other direction, right? Because a woman who decides to become a man is never going to be able to compete at the highest level. So it isn't the same level of, it's not an attack upon the direct competitive spirit itself. But this is to me a monstrously huge story that is being to a large extent ignored because it provides an inconvenient lesson, which is biology still matters, and even men who decide to become women are by far better. And look, The analogy that I've used for a long time to sort of demonstrate the difference between men's and women's sports is what goes on when you look at the state of Texas, for instance. Buck, every single Texas high school state champion recently was faster than the fastest woman who's ever existed. Think about how crazy it is. We're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old boys. All of them are faster than the fastest woman that's ever existed.
And yet at some level, we all know
that's right.
That's the reality. You're giving the data. We all understand, though. We've all seen men's and women's sports. We've seen the differences in speed and strength. And there's a reason why we have, segregated sports by sex as long as we have. But this does also go to, I think, who are the leftists that push this? It's important to think about why they push this, why they believe this. For some, this is an issue of virtue signaling. They don't really understand the issue. They don't care. And even privately, they may say, yeah, it's kind of unfair. But publicly, they want all the trappings of wokeness. I'm in favor of this. Although there are very few people who speak out forcefully who aren't activists, about this stuff. But, the left in this country, Clay, thinks that reality is a construct. I mean, this goes to the center of their ideology. They think that reality is a construct itself, and they can change reality based upon their desire, based upon their political mobilization. And if they can get you to affirm what is untrue in this case, I think they view it as a doorway to make you affirm other things that are untrue as well. It's confusing to you when you're made to say things that if I sat here and made you repeat things that are untrue, eventually you start to think, what is true? And that's part of what the left gains out of this.
There's no doubt. And also being afraid to say what the truth is. It's not only saying things that are untrue, it's being afraid to oppose this, which is where almost everyone is right now as it pertains to this story, which I think is going to continue to become a bigger issue because there's a possibility here that this transgender male swimmer is going to become the greatest college women's swimmer of all time here in the next few weeks. Already, Ivy League record books being rewritten by a man that decided to become a woman.
They're making a mockery of women's sports. That's what they're doing.
That's, in essence, they are destroying women's sports.